Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm Zeus Caravallo from ZK Research, and I'm here on site at the Extreme Network stand at Gitex 2023 in Dubai. Extreme Networks, of course, is one of the industry's premier networking vendors, and of course the theme for Gitex is always about innovation, and a lot of innovation starts with the network. So I'm going to go in the Extreme stand, and I'm going to interview Roy Verboeket, who's also known as Roy V, and talk about what they're showing at the booth and showing at the stand. And so let's go in and have a look around. All right, here with Roy now, Roy V, as you're known.
It is.
So, as I mentioned in my opening, we're here at Gitex. Extreme's been a part of Gitex for many, many years now, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
we've been around for a few years.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what do you like about the show? Why do you feel participation in this show is so important?
So it's about the personal connection, right? I mean, customers like to see you, right? They like to shake hands. They like to have that face-to-face interaction. And on top of that one, it's about inspiration, right? Inspiring people and showing them the art of the possible, and that's why Gitex is so tremendously important for us.
Yeah, well, I think being from the U.S., I think there really isn't an understanding outside of this region how big this show is.
It's huge.
Right? Yeah, so talk about just the amount of innovation that we see at the show, right?
Yeah, so if you look at the Middle Eastern region, if you look at Saudi Arabia's government, the Emirates, right, the UAE, if you look at Qatar, the amount of innovation coming from there, the amount of funding and the amount of money that they're pouring into that, you see the whole narrative here is around, how do we live in 2030? How do we consume healthcare in 2030? How do we go to, a stadium, right? Like Manchester United. How are we going to do that in 2030 and beyond? So there's a lot of innovation coming from this region. That's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah, in fact, one of the things I've always said I like about this region is the fact that this is the only region in the world where public sector drives innovation.
Yeah,
you think 100%. About obviously with your accent, you're from Europe, right? And
yes,
I think about the U.S. Public sector where we spend so much time regulating stuff, we don't actually drive innovation anymore.
Yep.
But when you come here, I was in the government hall and I was talking with one of the government bodies where their customer satisfaction rate from the electric and water authority is 98%, right?
Amazing.
But now they're talking, how do I get to 99? How do I get to 100?
Yep.
And then that permeates across all businesses, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's not only the money, but I think more so it's the belief.
Yeah.
The government here believes that they can go from 98 to 99, from 99 to 99.5, right? And ultimately, the goal for the government here is always 100%.
Yeah.
And that may not be achievable, but they sure as hell.
Well, I can tell you one thing: if you don't, if the minister in charge of that and you don't, you might be looking for another job.
Yeah, that's the other thing, yeah. And
so the big news for you, for Extreme Networks this year has been, at least recently, has been the partnership with Manchester United.
Yes.
When I look around, I see, a mock-up with the sign and, a little seating area over there. So talk about that partnership. What are you doing with Man U?
So what we're doing with Man U had like many venues and sporting clubs, they had a Wi-Fi network, but it wasn't really performing. And
I encounter that far too often in the stadiums I got to.
So but stadium Wi-Fi or connectivity is kind of a given, right? Now, what people never realized in the past is if you have a stadium with, for example, a capacity of Manchester United, where it goes upwards of 75, 80, 85,000 people and beyond, you're literally talking about filling a stadium with 90,000 bags of water. Right, that's the human body. It absorbs, it absorbs and affects, radio signals. Anyway,
a bag of water. That's the
bags of water. Yeah. So, what we done with Manchester United specifically is in that partnership, they were looking for the next generation Wi-Fi network, and they wanted to have a fan experience that the fans were always connected because people are watching a game. They want to capture that moment. They want to share it with families and friends. Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and that was before this deployment. That was kind of an issue, right? Yeah. Bandwidth was a problem. Wi-Fi signal propagation was an issue. 4G, 5G was not really the solution and the answer either, because there was also a capacity issue on that side.
It's part of the solution.
It's part of the solution. So what we've done now is we complement, right? So there is the, let's call it the public 4G, 5G facing side of the network. And then what we've done is we've deployed over 1,600 access points throughout the entire stadium.
And they're Wi-Fi 6, 6E, 7?
They're Wi-Fi 6, yes,
okay.
so Wi-Fi 6 APs. And we have given them the tooling and the experience, the best practice we brought over from the United States, right? Because we have a big stadium practice there as well. So the lessons learned and all the developments from there, we've kind of brought it into Manchester United's Old Trafford Stadium. It's been up and running now for a few months, and I was there myself last week.
How's it working?
So
let me ask you a question. So I visit a lot of stadiums, obviously I'm a big sports fan, and Extreme Networks has, you talk about Old Trafford, old stadium. Olympic Stadium, or London Stadium, old stadium. Fenway Park, old stadium. LA Memorial, old stadium, right? You've got all the old stadiums, and your Wi-Fi tends to outperform your competitors in those environments, which are new stadiums, right? So, and with all due respect to your product people, I'm not sure your product is so much better than everybody else. So why have you been so successful in these venues, some of which these old stadiums are very difficult, right, from an engineering perspective? How have you maintained that high level of performance in environments that, frankly, before I think most people would think it was impossible to drive good connectivity?
I think that's simply recapped by dedication and focus, right? Like I said, if you look at the United States, the stadium business there originated about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And those people are still with us. The engineering resources are still with us. So these people know what went wrong, because we don't have to make that a secret, right? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, 10 years ago, it may not have been as flawless as it is today, but it's a lot of lessons learned. It's a lot of dedication and focus, which then also finds its way back into our products people. Like, for example, the people that build our Wi-Fi access points. I'm not talking about the casing, right? The actual inside of the AP, the antennas, the positioning of the antenna, the behavior of the antenna, how the software responds to all these dynamic radio changes that go on in a stadium bowl. I think that's what makes the difference on the Extreme side. And I think you're right. I think a lot of people on the vendor side, and I've worked for several vendors over the years.
They just slap an AP up and it's
you just slap an AP up, but not really understanding of what's actually happening. Not just what's happening from a people perspective and a user's perspective, but also what's happening on the software side, right, on the physics side, if you will. And I think that's what has set Extreme apart over the last 10 years.
And the dynamics of fan experience have changed as well, right? Where, especially with sports betting, in the UK, Betfred's become big, and FanDuel and DraftKings, and so that ability to have real-time traffic now isn't just a nice to have. Wouldn't you agree? It's like, if you can't deliver that, you're going to lose a lot of fans.
Yeah, it's becoming a must-have, right? Well, that was also one of the things that the team, the IT team at Old Trafford was sharing with us last week. It's if you look at an old stadium like this, it's not a simple layout, right? I mean, there's bars in places you could be like, what's the bar doing here? Right? But hey, it was just because the space was available, they put a bar in there, and there's like signage and there's screens and there's payment traffic, and there is people when they go from the stand to grab a beer or to grab a sandwich while the game is still on, they walk around with their phone in their hand and they're watching the game while they're placing the order, right? So it's become a must-have thing for most sporting venues.
Yeah, and the other aspect I think of sports is it's in some ways the stadium's a microcosm for all of society, right? Because you've got point of sale, you've got E911 services or whatever the equivalent is in different countries. You've got healthcare services, right? You've got voice over IP to for all the different communications in the stadium. So in a lot of ways, what you might find in a city is just a smaller version of that in a stadium.
Yeah. It's a mini society. Yeah, absolutely.
So shifting gears a little bit here, I know the other big area for Extreme Networks, obviously sports and entertainment is a big focus for you, but from a product perspective, the innovation issue has been around your SD-WAN, right? Yes. And so you've got a bit of a demo here, don't you?
Yes, we do.
Can we go over and have a look?
Absolutely.
Let's go. Yeah.
Go.
Now, so first of all, just from a product perspective, I think when people think of Extreme historically, you've been very good in the campus. You mentioned Wi-Fi, right, in a lot of stadiums. Why was the move to SD-WAN so important for you?
So the move to SD-WAN for us was important because we know what's happening on the campus, wired, wireless, We control that, but what we didn't control, what we didn't have the capability for necessarily, was when it traversed the WAN links. Right? So customers with multiple sites and locations that actually traverse a WAN link, that's what we were lacking. And that's why the acquisition of Ipanema 2 years ago was kind of a game changer for us.
And the definition of the WAN's changed too, right? It's not just corporate offices. You could argue that every work from home employees.
Well, yeah, it's work from anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So the new buzzword, right? I mean, home working solutions, people sitting at a Starbucks with a little setup, right? Working from a coffee shop all day. It's in retail. There's the concept of pop-up stores, and you never know when there's a pop-up store or where that pop-up store is. But you do need secure, reliable connectivity that you can control, because like applications is kind of a thing, right? It's applications itself are not confined to a specific location.
Yeah.
People consume applications these days from the cloud.
That's true, and from an application perspective, it traverses the entire WAN.
Yes.
I think historically in corporate IT anyway, you talk to people that work at companies, they're the WAN manager, they run the Wi-Fi network, they run the data center network, and so, well, you can log back in here. So. All right, we're back after a couple technical difficulties. That wasn't a Wi-Fi problem, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, it wasn't a
It was
Wi-Fi
a demo
problem.
ghost.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the demo ghosts are gone. We exercised them, and we're back up with the SD-WAN dashboard here. So can you tell me what we're looking at here, and how does this work?
So what you're looking at here is Extreme Cloud SD-WAN, and first and foremost, important thing to note is that what we're trying to do is, as you've heard and seen before, we're trying to remove the complexity, right, for customers.
In an environment that's historically been very complex.
It's been very, very complex. And so our SD-WAN solution is built on multiple building blocks, if you will. One being the actual SD-WAN box, right, which comes from small, medium, large data center. So we've got central locations. We can kind of whatever you want there, right? 1 gig, 2 gigs, 5 gigs, 10 gigs, doesn't really matter. But what we try to do here is we try to visualize it for our customer. What you're looking at here is Extreme's internal lab network. So you can see all these different lines and locations, and all of them are interconnected. They all go back to North Carolina, where we have
where your hub is.
Where we build a small hub there, and it's all traversing that small little hub. But whether it be a hub and spoke configuration, whether it be a mesh configuration, whether you need it with or without additional security like secure web gateways that's built into the product, whether you have an MPLS, you've got multiple WAN links, we don't really mind. But from a customer perspective, it should be easy to use, easy to manage, and the most important thing for us is, which is our latest addition to our portfolio, or enhancement to our portfolio actually, is we've now also brought our Fabric technology into our SD-WAN solution. So now we have something that we call very, it's got a catchy phrase, Fabric over SD-WAN.
Yeah.
Right? You can't make that up, Zias, but so now we can actually expand the Fabric over our own WAN solution.
And why is the Fabric so important?
The Fabric for us is important because of a couple of things. One is it's a super secure, scalable hyper-segmentation capability we bring to our customers.
And it's also simpler than a traditional.
It is simpler than a. So simplification again is a key word for pretty much everything we do. That's what we're trying to do. Remove the complexity, make it simple and easy to consume. Right, not only on the technology side, but also on how you buy, how you license, how you renew. When a subscription comes up for renewal or it's about to expire. We want to make that experience very, very simple. But also from a imagine someone coming from another vendor without calling out names. And you now need to change from an old edge distribution core data center model, and all of a sudden you now need to adopt and adapt to something called Fabric, right? Extreme's Fabric, what's in the name? So we're trying to make that as easy as possible as well from the perspective of the actual user, which is the system administrator, right? The guy that configures the network. It's super simple to set up, it's super simple to manage. Like I said, it's secure, it's easy. There is little room for error if you design it the right way, because our Fabric is built in a way, it's dynamic, right? So pops up services when it's needed, and if you disconnect those devices, it tears the service back down and it's gone. Now, what we've done with SD-WAN is we've now integrated the two, and then an additional capability comes to life on the fabric, which is application control. So now not only can we control the WAN link, we have the fabric, but now we also can control the overlaying application performance, and we can control the usage of the actual application. We can control the bandwidth on the application.
So I'm able to prioritize things like
we
Zoom.
can prioritize, we can throttle, we can prevent it from being used. We can steer it over different WAN links if we want to, right? Which is also a core capability of software-defined wide area networking, is the ability to be dynamic and flexible. And that's what we're offering now from an Extreme perspective as well. We're very excited about it. We just launched it. But we're expecting a lot from it because we have a lot of fabric customers across the world, and a lot of them are distributed, such as, for example, here in the UAE.
Yes.
It's
so better
great.
control, better visibility,
yes,
and better and simpler management.
Yes.
Well, that seems like 100%. A winner.
It's a win-win.
Now the other, one of the big themes at Gitex this year is AI.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, I can't go anywhere. In fact, I'm surprised it took us this long to say AI, right? So now I know Cloud IQ has been your management portal for years,
yes,
but recently you've infused some AI in it, right, with Copilot. So can you give us a little demo of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think before we dig into details, right? AI is nothing without data.
Yeah.
Right, and I think that's
and Frankie, you've been using AI for a long time, right? Like,
I mean, the networking space is looked at as that industry that hasn't been using AI, but actually, when you think about it, we've been using AI for many, many years, right? There's been lots of algorithms that control, for example, on the Wi-Fi side, the usage of the channels and, changing power settings, that sort of stuff. That's all done through algorithms, right? It's detection, it's learning from what the data provides you, and then make adjustments based on that. And I think if you look at what we're doing now from an Extreme Cloud IQ perspective is, again, it's all about simplification, it's all about productivity, efficiency, mean time to innocence sometimes, or mean time to resolution, helping with the troubleshooting by offering what you can see here, for example, offering widgets that give you an insight of what's happening on your network. For example, port efficiency on a switch, right? The switch is running in, at capacity, as in it's got too much voice over IP phones and access points connected to it. Broadband lines drawing too much power. Or if there's a mismatch between an IoT device that's running on 10 or 100 megs, per second, versus the switch port being a gig. Now that in itself doesn't have to be a problem because the switch port's auto-sensing and it throttles down. But Cloud IQ will pick that up. Or Copilot will pick that up, and it will tell you, hey, you may want to take a look at that, right?
Yeah, I've talked to some of your customers that have used this, and what I like about though is how fast it helps them find the problems. As I always said, like one of the data points of my research is that without a tool like this, Wi-Fi troubleshooting, some people spend at least, estimate a day a week, like 20% of the time doing nothing but Wi-Fi troubleshooting, right? And frankly, that's not fun, well, right? And so this actually helps narrow that down and take a problem that might have taken hours or days to solve to just a few minutes.
It's funny you mention that, because if you look at this down here, right? For the audience that are Wi-Fi geeks, DFS, right? Which is the detection of let's call them radar signals, right? Weather radar, military radar. We have customers using this now. They had intermittent Wi-Fi issues. Had no idea what the problem was. IT admin used this for a couple of weeks. All of a sudden, this thing starts to pop up. It starts to say, hey, there's DFS issues, right? What's in the name? He starts asking the questions to my SE team, and they're like, yeah, that's, here's the reason why, right? It's radar stuff, and the AP has to go off channel and scanning, but it cuts the connectivity for the
So this was a previously unsolvable problem.
Oh, it wasn't unsolvable, it's manual.
Yeah.
Right, someone had to go in, understand what's going on, maybe, if they're very, very technical, they had a hunch, because you're located next to an airport or next to the local weather
well,
radar.
Hunch is no way to manage the network.
That's no AI. So I think just to couch, I can demo this to you for days if I wanted to.
No, I think we got a good look at what it can do. So,
but it's all about simplicity, and it's about, like I said, meantime the resolution, meantime the innocence. That's what people are on the extreme side. That's what we're focused on.
Awesome. All right, Roy. Well, thanks for the demo. Appreciate the time. So, just anything else you want to add? Like, what's next for you guys? What do you?
What's next for you guys? Now you're asking me a tricky question. Now I have to make sure that I'm not getting myself in trouble with the products organization. No. We're expanding on our SD-WAN capabilities. We're definitely very much invested in ML and AI. And so there's a lot that you can expect from Extreme coming down the pipe from that perspective. And of course, the next thing around the corner is Wi-Fi 7, right? So looking forward next year's Gitex to have you here again, and we can, maybe talk about the new.
I'm curious to see what new stadiums you have by then. So
cool, man.
Yeah. All right, Roy. Extreme Networks, historically known as a great Wi-Fi provider, and almost many of the major venues know, but no longer just campus, right? So with the addition of SD-WAN and data center, a complete end-to-end provider.
We expanded, man.
Yeah. So anyways, on behalf of Roy, I'm ZKast saying thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on another ZKast.